The bridge that collapsed into a Maryland river after a ship strike on Tuesday was constructed almost 47 years ago, named after the author of the Star-Spangled Banner, Francis Scott Key. It was built near the spot where Francis Scott Key witnessed the bombardment of a fort that inspired what would become America's national anthem. That bridge stood as a symbol of American independence, democracy, and freedom. Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed on March 26, 2024, at 1:28 a.m. The bridge collapsed into the Patapsco River after being struck by a cargo ship that reported losing power just before the crash. The ship that struck it is believed to have been not seaworthy. Is it a coincidence that the bridge that stood as a symbol of our democracy and independence, built in honor of a man that wrote our national anthem about our independence, got destroyed couple months before the most consequential election that may end America's democracy, independence, and freedom? Is this just a coincidence? Or is this God warning us through signs and wonders? I do not believe the timing of these events are coincidence. Even if they might not be coordinated, I believe they are serving as a warning of dark times that may fall upon this country soon. On April 8, 2024, a total solar eclipse moved across North America, passing over Mexico, the United States, and Canada. The solar eclipse happened exactly 2 weeks from the day the bridge was destroyed. On the day of the eclipse, Trump posted a campaign video claiming only him can save America. In the video, Trump made it clear that this was the most important election of our lifetime shortly after, showing his head in place of the moon eclipsing the sun and bringing America into total darkness. What kind of leader can use such a bizarre video for his campaign? One would assume someone promising to save America would use a video of himself bringing light to America, not eclipsing the only source of light to the world. Unless indeed, he made the video to save a warning of what he intends to do. It is also troubling to note that the same person who posted that video is the same person who said he will not accept any result of the election unless he wins, flirting with the idea of being a dictator, and is also planning a retribution against political enemies. His lawyer recently argued in court that the president should have immunity for taking out his political opponent. On the 26th of March 2024, 3 days before Easter Friday, Trump announced his partnership with Lee Greenwood in selling a Bible that includes USA founding documents, marrying the holy word of God with the vanity of this world. Doing this on the most holiest week of the year, when Christian commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and his death at Calvary. Is there a better way to blaspheme the holy word of God than that? The parallels between Trump and the ship that destroyed the symbolic bridge. Experts are saying the ship was not seaworthy. Experts said Trump was not fit to be president in 2016. Trump concealed his medical record to conceal his mental health during the 2016 election. First president. Till today, no one knows his mental health state since he declined to provide one. Regardless of that, many mental health experts and behaviorists conclude by analyzing his behavior alone that he is unfit to serve in the highest office of the land. When the power went out on the ship, all the lights went out, turning the ship into total darkness. As the ship hit the bridge, the illuminated bridge also plunged into total darkness as it fell into the sea. Since 2016, Trump has brought the country to the brink of collapse by turning Americans against one another, using the divide and conquer blueprint. Right after he showed a video of himself eclipsing the sun, vowing retribution, and displaying dictatorship ambitions, it became clear to experts that he is planning to plunge this country into pure darkness.
You know, as a kid, I said Hitler, it's a nightmare that never would happen. But now I see that it's possible.
Does it give you some sense, not of joy, but of relief at least, that he's potentially facing some consequences? Because, as you've said before, this guy's a con artist, and he's gotten away with it for years.
No, he's more than that to me. He's sick. He is really, genuinely a sick person that somehow has been allowed into our system. And I'm not calling him, I'm tired of calling him names. He just can't be anywhere near the office of the presidency.
You've played a lot of bad guys. Would you ever play Donald Trump?
Never. There's nothing about him. There's not one redeeming thing in him that I can see ever. And it's funny, I was just thinking that he actually became president. He could have done good things. Instead, he had to do it all wrong. He's so, as we all know, so narcissistic and self-centered.
What do you say to those who say, I don't like the guy, but I'm going to vote for him? What's your message to them?
I don't understand it. I don't think they understand how dangerous it will be if he ever, God forbid, becomes president. I don't think they really understand. And historically, from what I see, even in Nazi Germany, they had it with Hitler. They don't take him serious. He looks like a clown, acts like a clown. Mussolini, same thing. These guys, I don't know why, they look like clowns. They somehow, people, that element of society identifies in some ways with them, but it would be chaos beyond our imagination. There's no mystery about him. He's right out front, and what he says is what it'll be if he becomes president. I'm just starting to see it. You know, as a kid, I said, Hitler, it's a nightmare that never would happen. But now I see that it's possible.
You warned America about who Donald Trump was in 2016. You're a lifetime New Yorker, so is he, and you said the country does not realize who this fraudster is, and not enough people listened. Do you think they'll listen now?
I hope to God they do, because they don't. If it goes the other way, I keep saying this, you will see things that, like you'll see, it's like invasion of the body snatchers. You'll see people you knew or you thought you knew all of a sudden changing, all of a sudden going with that side, either for self-preservation, because they actually believe it, or they're deluding themselves, or whatever. But then when that happens, and you walk into a restaurant, you see people you used to know, and all of a sudden they're just not opposing it. They're going with the flow, and that's even more scary, insidious, I guess, if you say it like that, and ultimately just depressingly disappointing. There has to be a time when you have to say, okay, that's it. No, we're not doing that. We're not allowing that to happen. And this is the time in this country for that to happen.
Then this moment is about decency and democracy to you?
It's decency and right and wrong, and democracy follows. You have to know how to behave in order to make the democracy work.
Hey, look, welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it and replace it with this right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've decided to reveal to you my plan, yes, my most diabolical plan yet. They say Alexander gathered his Macedonians before the march on Persia. Well, I say I see before me a gathering of Magadonians here in this room. And after we raise that swamp to the ground, we will establish the new American Republic on its ashes. And our first order of business will be righteous retribution for those who betrayed America. They will be judged.
Think our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course. But democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. It's beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it, and it's scary.
Are you
Excuse my French.
Of the longest truss bridges in the United States, named after Francis Scott Key, who was inspired to write the Star-Spangled Banner after witnessing the bombardment of Fort McHenry in 1814.
As it's believed that Key was about 100 yards away, give or take, from the bridge itself when he was aboard ship and penned what would become our Star-Spangled Banner.
The city of Baltimore with new accusations against the owner of the Dolly, the cargo ship that lost power and slammed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge last month, causing it to collapse, killing 6 construction workers. In a new court filing, lawyers for the city argue the Dolly's owner failed to repair known power problems before the collision, saying even before leaving port, alarms showing inconsistent power supply on the Dolly had sounded, but the Dolly left port anyways. The company has sought to cap its liability at $43 million, but Baltimore leaders argue the liability should not be capped, claiming the company's negligence caused them to destroy the Key Bridge and single-handedly shut down the Port of Baltimore, a source of jobs and revenue for the city.